So to all the audience, so what Neeraj is going to cover here is one of the major problems that all the Indian founders make: pricing your product too cheaply, or making the pricing wrong, which eventually puts your product, even if it's in a good tech standards, as a subsidized product. And here Neeraj will explain how the pricing works and the sentiments behind it, so that you guys could price your product the right way. Over to you, Neeraj.
Great. So can you share my slides or should I go ahead and do that?
You can share the slides. Next to the settings, you have a share the screen option.
Strangely, I don't see a share my screen option. The last button I see here is the settings button.
Okay, can you send me the presentation? I'll take it to the
Okay, so
take a look at it.
one second, hold on. Can you give me your email address? I'll just email it to you.
Yes, I'll drop it in chat here.
Yeah, I sent it to Chameli earlier, so she might have it. But anyway,
Send it to chat
yeah,
right
she
away.
already has it. I sent it to her.
Okay, uh, cool. Neeraj. You just keep starting, and I'll just pick
Yeah,
up the presentation along the way.
just
Yeah.
hold on a second. Um, yeah, I sent it to you on email. Okay, so strange that I don't have an option to share my screen. It's really, really strange. Oh, I see this. See the option. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, cool. I think
Okay.
we are all set. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So one second, hold on. It's taking a bit of time to load.
Yeah. It just
Okay,
takes a bit of time when we start.
cool,
I'll stop my video for one bit.
cool, great. So great guys. So good to be talking to all of you. I'll be talking about why pricing is important at all stages, of course, but given the audience and given that there are lots of founders in early stages of doing starting their businesses, I decided to focus more on the earlier stages where you're trying to figure out your initial starting pricing, and I'll also talk about how to evolve pricing as you go, and as you capture more market share and become a more evolved product. Okay, so a little bit about me before we start. So I'm the founder and CEO of Hiver. What we do is that we are an email-based customer service product. We are used by more than 1,500 customers globally. Extremely global customer base. We are used by some very, very well-known companies. Netflix, Flexport, Upwork, Harvard University. MongoDB, and one of the largest banks in the US. Right. So we compete with very, very well-known, very established, very well-branded competitors all the time. We bootstrapped the company for years, and then we raised, VC money from Kalari and K Capital. So I've seen both sides of the fences. We have been a bootstrapped company for very, very long, and then when we went ahead and raised VC money, and we are trying to scale the company as at the kind of speed that a VC would expect you to, right? So we have seen both sides of the fences. And I'm an engineer by training. I did my BTech in electronics and communications engineering. But now I've been kicked out of engineering by the much superior engineers that I have in the company now. And I spend most of my time working with our sales, marketing, and product teams. So this is our pricing journey as to how we have gone through pricing at a very high level over the last 3 years or so. So the product that you see at hiverhq.com, which is customer service slash email collaboration product, launched in early 2017, and we launched at a per seat average per seat price of $5 per seat, right? In January 2020, our average per seat price was $22, which is more than 4 times of what we launched at 3 years back. And if you look at our average per seat prices now, we are inching towards a $30, $27, $28 kind of per seat price, right? So we have gone more than 4x on our average per seat price over the last 3 years. And what did I learn through? And it did not happen overnight. It happened through multiple iterations on the product, on our learning, with our sales teams learning how to handle objections around a lot of other things, right? And what did I overall learn in that process? So this is what this entire talk is anchored around. Okay. So one thing that I want to touch upon as we start this talk is underpricing, because this is something that that's almost endemic to most new companies, new products, and I run across multiple founders who end up underpricing their product, uh, basically pricing it way below what they should be charging, right? And how do I define underpricing? I define underpricing as I define it irrespective of the quality, maturity, or functional coverage of the product, right? So you might have a help desk product which has just one feature and it is extremely buggy, right? This definition of underpricing, as I define it, would apply even in those cases. So the way I define it roughly is that if you have a product like a Slack, Airtable, a general productivity slash collaboration product, if you're pricing it under $3 per user, if you have a CRM or ERP or a help desk, kind of point solution, which is used by one function in a company to do a specialized job, and you are pricing it under $10 per user, and if you have a rate optimization platform or marketing automation platform, and you're pricing it less than $600 per year, which is less than $500 per month, right? So if the pricing for your most sold plan falls under these ranges, based on which market you are in, irrespective of the quality, maturity, and functional coverage of your product, it's very very likely that you are underpricing the product, and you're not pricing at the point which is most conducive to you acquiring good quality customers and building a good quality product. So this is how I define underpricing, right? And these are the perils of underpricing. If you do that, you might think that I don't have a good quality product and I want to go ahead and price it really low and see what happens, right? But these are the perils of of taking that approach of having a very very low price, right? Number one, which is extremely obvious, is that when you price low, you signal to everyone that this is a product of low quality, right? Now, this is extremely important because of the context. If you are a new product which has just launched, if you are a product that is not very high on features, combine that with the fact that you might be trying to sell to companies in the US, being in India, right? If you combine all of that with a low price, you are kind of shouting out that I have a low quality product, and that that assertion that I have a low quality product is going to detract a lot of desirable customers from you. They're going to basically say that I'm not going to even take a look because I smell that it's a low quality product, and that's extremely detrimental. And that's very easy to see, right? I mean, all the time we associate low quality with low price, right? The second thing, which is not very easy to see, is what I call a downward quality spiral. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that if you underprice your product to a point where people question its quality, the kind of customers that you attract are customers who don't demand high quality, right? And what that happens is that you continue building your product to the demands of people who don't demand high quality, which means you keep deteriorating your product to a lower quality over time, and it's a downward spiral, quality spiral, which ultimately leads to you building a really really crappy product because you based it on requirements and feedback from customers who don't require high quality from you, right? And this is extremely perilous in the long run. Lots of companies end up building very very low quality crappy products because they did not have customers who required you to build a good quality product, right? So if you combine these two, right, underpricing is extremely detrimental and dangerous to your company, and you should definitely not get into the trap of thinking that I'll price it really low and see what happens. I'll get some customers and see where it goes, right? You should look at it slightly differently. So what a scientific way to figuring out the right price, right? So if any of you have gone to business school, if you are MBAs, this is something that you must have studied in your class, right? A professor might have taught you this. And the scientific way, this is one of the most well-known scientific ways of, or quasi-scientific ways of figuring out price. And this is based on asking a good number of customers who your product is a good fit for, 4 questions, right? So the first question that you ask is, at what price is my product? Do you think my product is so expensive that you'd not even consider buying it, right? The second question you would ask is, at what price do you think my product signals very very low quality and you would not consider buying it? The third question is, at what price do you think the product starts to look expensive, but I would still consider buying it because I think that it basically matches up to the more expensive price point by giving me value, right? And the fourth thing is, at what price do you think that it's a great deal? It's a no-brainer, and I want to just buy it yesterday, right? And what you do is that you ask 100 people these questions or 150 people these questions, and you ask these questions to people who for whom your product is a great fit, right? And then you base your pricing somewhere between 3 and 4, right? You shy away from 1 and 2 because they signal extremes, and in most cases, it is healthy to price between 3 and 4, right? So this makes sense. This makes perfect sense, right? You're pricing it, you're anchoring it at in a range where you think there is a good match between the perceived value of the product and the price you are charging, right? So what's wrong with this? The thing that is wrong with this is that this might look very scientific, but your startup is not a science lab, right? You don't have enough time to run this experience, right? So it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get 100 qualified good quality customers who are a great fit for you, to be able to for you to be able to do this survey and get adequate data to make this data driven decision, right? The second is that it will take too long, 100 customer interviews, 400 questions, collating the data, going back and asking more questions is going to take too long, right? And the number three thing, which is extremely important, is that this is, in many cases, returns very broad ranges. So if for a help-desk product like ours, it might return a range of $10 to $30, for example, right? And like a lot of things that we run in business school, you know this by common sense. You can guess that a help-desk product should be charged, should be priced in that kind of a range, right? So although this is extremely scientific, this might not be useful to you, if you're just starting out, due to multiple reasons. So in the absence of an objective scientific framework, what do you do? How do you price it, right? So now what I propose is that you take a practical shortcut and you look at the competition. And by competition, I don't mean products which look exactly like what you look like and do exactly what you do, but you think about it from the customer's perspective, right? So the customer has a problem, you solve that problem, you pitch the customer, and what other alternatives does the customer think of to solve the same problem, right? So they might not be analogous, very similar products, but customers might want to solve that using other methods, which might yield desirable results, right? And then you do either of the two, right? So you figure out which are the other products which the customer is going to think of when they are thinking of you, and then you do either of the two things based on what kind of products they are, right? So if you are in a market where you'd get compared with good quality products, which have good brand, good quality, generally perceived as good products by prospective customers, you price in vicinity. And what I mean by that is that you price within 15 to 20% up, above or below where they are priced. And whether you price it below or above is a strategic decision, right? So if you want to signal that I am a high value, high quality, more exclusive products, you might choose a 10% higher price point. If you want to make the decision of buying your product really smooth, and you want to remove that blocker of pricing from the stakeholders' mind, price it 10% below. But the general idea is that price in vicinity, which basically signals that you are a good quality product, which is capable of competing with other products, right? And the second directive is that if you see products that are not good quality, which happens in a lot of niche markets where there are small niche players, which have crappy products which somehow solve the problem, in those cases, price higher. You signal very clearly that I have a better product compared to every other alternative that you have, right? And go ahead with a loud proclamation saying that you might have cheaper products in the market, but this costs more because this does a better job, right? So this is my 2-point directive for pricing in the early stages, where again, as a repetition, you if you have good quality competitors, price in vicinity. If you have bad quality competitors, price higher, right? And of course, the third unsaid point is, of course, don't build something that is bad quality. So shy away from that. Right? So what is that going to do to you? What is this directive going to do to you? For a lot of us, and if I look back at ourselves 3 years back, this would have led to us pricing Hiver at a point where we might have been uncomfortable with how high it was priced, right? And then if a lot of you guys, who are starting out, if you do this exercise, you will most likely end up pricing your product at a price that you think is higher than what you should be pricing at, right? and that is fine. The way I would put it, that is perfectly fine, because what is that going to lead to? That is going to lead to high customer expectations, and not just high customer expectations from your existing customers, but also from your prospects, right? And what is that going to translate into? That is going to translate it into you getting better at sales and marketing and positioning, right? So you, by virtue of demanding a price that is in the vicinity of alternatives which are good quality, you are going to be pushed to do better at sales, at marketing and positioning. The second thing is that when you land these customers, they are going to come in with expectations of you being a good product, right? And then that is going to lead you to work hard every day to improve your product, right? So to compare the approaches of underpricing versus pricing in vicinity or pricing higher than crapping products, right? If underpricing leads to a downward spiral, pricing higher than what looks comfortable to you is like climbing a hill, which is going to make you smarter and stronger, right? So this is kind of a broad framework which you can use to make sure that you price in a way that is useful to your company in the long run, and you don't end up hitting yourself by pricing too low. And then once you have priced it, and once you have the ball rolling, what do? You improve your pricing, which is an ongoing exercise, right? So the approach that I just talked about, which was this, it's not an extremely data driven approach, right? It's just using a few data points that you have very easily available to come up with a price, right? But when you have a few hundred customers, if you have a few dozen customers, you have a lot more data points available. And then you can go ahead and do surveys like the bookish survey that I just talked about to define your price. You can ask more intelligent questions, and you can use data to get to a more refined, better quality price point, right? The second thing that you do is that pricing with smartly split features is usually not possible in early stages because you have just started out and you just don't have enough features, right? But when you have spent an year building your product and talking to your customers, it's very likely that you have features which go really deep in terms of what they can do, right? And you need to go deep into how you should split your features across multiple slabs, and then you split it in a manner so that once someone has been in slab A for an year, you can use feature hooks to move them to slab B, which is at a higher price, right? So it has to be very carefully designed to make sure that there is a constant upward move of customers who have stayed with you on a plan A, because you just built a lot more stuff that is going to be relevant to them, and you get good at selling those to them, right? Now, the third thing that we recently learned, it's nothing new, it has been done by multiple companies, is to sell add-ons. So if you have plan A and if you have plan B, and plan B has multiple extra features, can you sell some features from plan B on plan A at an incremental price, right? So to give you an example, if you have plan A which costs $20 per seat, and if you have plan B that costs $40 per seat, which has 5 extra features, right? Can you take 2 features from plan B and sell those at $6 or $7 per seat to people on plan A? What that does is that once you have sold 2 of those features, the user is already paying $10 to $14 above what they are paying for plan A. So that just makes the movement from plan A to plan B so much smoother and so much easier, and so much of a no-brainer for the customer, right? And the fourth thing, which is extremely important, is that you have to revise pricing. Now, we have made this mistake. We see so many startups make this mistake, and a general guideline is to revise it every 18 to 24 months. And needless to say, unless you have done something horribly wrong in the beginning, it should be an upward revision. Unless you are trying to do something strategic, like doing a freemium on top of what you're doing, or trying to introduce a really low price plan. The general direction is to revise up, and the guideline of revising up is because in those 18 to 24 months you have definitely worked on your product, added more features, and made the product more valuable. So the only direction to go is to go up, right? So definitely revise it every 18 to 24 months. Once you do that, go back to your old customers, tell them that we have new pricing, we are going to let you stay on the old pricing for 6 months or 12 months, but then there is more value on the product and you need to move to new pricing, and use that to drive revenue, right? So each of these events of price revisions can be upgrade and expansion events for you, and use those smartly to get that boost every 18 to 24 months to get more customers to pay more for a better product, right? So that's about it. It was quick. I know. I look forward to seeing any questions that you might have.
Hi, Neeraj. So
Yeah.
one question I have, okay, I'm facing the similar problems right now, pricing my product. So have you ever faced a player, situation when switching the pricing has backfired, or the spike in churn when you give them a new pricing?
So it depends, right? So it has happened so many times. There's this very interesting story about Zendesk where the CEO actually had to go ahead and apologize publicly because they were very aggressive with trying to move existing customers to new pricing, right? So you have to be extremely sensitive
Hmm.
about it, and you have to make sure that you just don't price, you charge a higher price for the same product. The product needs to have covered a distance, and you should be able to you should be able to walk the talk. So when you say that I have a higher price point, you should be able to tell the customer that you have a higher price point, but you also have these extra features available which add more value,
Hmm.
and I'm going to do what is needed, right? Going to give you training material, I'm going to conduct trainings, I'm going to make sure that you just don't pay me a higher price, you actually derive higher value from what I'm selling, right? So that's extremely important. You cannot just go and demand high prices. There has to be thinking and sensitivity to the entire process.
Okay. Yeah. And one more. So what are your thoughts on the discount game that a lot of companies pay? Even if it's like they price it or tool $10 and they just go give out a steep discount, 40-50% of it. And what do you think of that kind of
Not good.
model?
So what
Yes.
happens? So the thing about customers right now is that they're extremely connected, right? So
Hmm.
if you indulge in such practices, a couple of your customers will go to G2 Crowd and write a review saying that these guys discount by 40%, right? And it is usually
Hmm.
seen as a bad practice to do that. A lot of
Okay.
your demanding customers are going to be extremely pissed because see, no one is going to think that you
Mhm.
did this extra favor for me. Everyone would going to assume that this is a part of your strategy, and this is going to spread very very fast, right? So it's extremely important to stick to there's something that I did not cover, but unless you have customers who look very different from your median customer, it's extremely important to stick to your list price. You cannot discount to those extents. There might be some
Mhm.
tactical advantages of doing a discount early on, or to customers which are really really big, look like outlier customers, but generally stick to your
Mhm.
list price.
Yeah. And
Okay. Yeah.
we have three more questions to the right.
Yeah.
So how about pricing the product globally? Is it preferred to do it differently, taking affordability into factor? Because we've seen that in few tools, Flock and Slack and all. India has a different pricing and the US has a different pricing. So
So I would
what
say
do you
don't.
say about this?
So I would say don't bother too much unless it's extremely important in the early days. Probably till you're $10 million in ARR. I think 10, 15, 20, whatever. To decide whether you're focusing on the India market or on the global market. Because they are extremely different in terms of price sensitivity, in terms of how you're going to sell to them, the kind of products that they want, the kind of hand holding that they're going to require, right? So, after
Yeah.
15, $20 million in ARR, you have to find every opportunity that you can. And even if you're selling to US, you might want to come to India. But until that point, keep it very, very simple. Have one price, focus on one market, and just
Mhm. Yeah. And one age-old question: freemium or free trial? What are your thoughts on it?
yeah. So premium or free trial, right? I'm also looking at the chat, right? So premium or free
Yeah.
trial, it depends, right? So it's a very well debated uh, subject, right? So the general consensus on freemium is that you do freemium only when your product has the potential to get 1 million seats or 1 million users, right? That should be the kind of headroom that you have. And then how you work is that you say that I get 1 million users on my platform, out of which you would have a conversion rate of anything between 2% and 6%. I think 6% is kind of very hard to beat on premium, and under 2.5% or 1.5%, you are extremely unhealthy, right? So the general model should be to say that I have a million, potential for a million seats on my platform, and I can get a huge part of those, even if my conversion rates are 3% to 4% to paid to become paying customers, right? If that is not the case, if you don't have a headroom to get 1 million users on the platform, right? Don't do that. The second thing is how much time does it take to value? If your product takes, 10 minutes to value, 15 minutes to value, 2 hours to value, right? And that's significant value. Don't do freemium. Just get people into your funnel, show value and get them to pay. So there are some directives, right? So ChargeBee did this amazing session on premium some time back, and I would definitely recommend that you guys take a look. But the general directive is around headroom, how many people that you can get. If you can get 1 million seats, think about it.
Mhm.
If you cannot, if you are going to get substantial less than that, don't think about it, right? But free trial almost
Yeah.
always works, right? Free trial works
Mhm.
in most cases, unless and until you are selling a very high priced enterprise platform, which is sold extremely top down to stakeholders who are very high up in the company, where it's a convincing game
Mhm.
in the beginning to get stakeholders to buy in, and then you do a deployment, and the deployment takes a long period of time and a big expense to do, right? So a free trial is not practical in many such cases. But for most SaaS products, CRMs, head desk, collaboration, productivity products, a free trial is a no-brainer, and you should definitely do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the final question, we'll finish it off with this. What about lifetime deals basically?
So, I mean, they're extremely tricky, right? Any deals of this kind are tricky because it leaves your existing customers unhappy. So now if you do a deal that says that any new customer who joins in the month of December or in the month of Thanksgiving is going to get 10% off, right? So that has a nice marketing ring to it. But what do you do about your existing customers? Now, if you're strong enough and if your existing customers are, deeply invested in you so that they cannot leave, and you are fine with pissing them off to some extent, you can go ahead and say that fine, I'm going to offer this only to new customers and this is not available to old customers, right? But if you are an early stage startup and the happiness of every customer matters to you, the advantage that you get by doing a short-term deal like that is not worth pissing off your existing customers. So I would say unless you are fresh desk, don't do it. You run a big risk of pissing off
Mhm.
people who are deeply invested in you by doing things like that.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And thank you so much for your time, Neeraj. I think we are at the end of the session. So, guys, for all the listeners, the recording of the session will be in the YouTube channel in a day or two.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Neeraj.